Alright guys, welcome to another electronics video. In this video we're going to be working on this P11 Ps3 Turtle Beach headset that has a USB connection and a 2-pole 3.5mm headset connector. It's in rather neat condition, so what I'm going to do is I want to utilize this with the use of a Ps4 controller and use it with a Ps4 system. Now to convert this, I have a 4-pole 3.5mm headset jack, you could call it. That's the part number there, and you can order from JCar. So let's begin. Let's unwind these wires and let's open up this box and remove the contents inside. And it's fairly easy. So let's remove these two screws and let's open it up and have a look at what's inside. Okay, so let's open up the casing. And we have a circuit board here with some couple of wire connections, and let's take this circuit board out and let's have a look. So just pry up on the edges. Seems to be stuck. I don't need the circuit board here, so I don't mind if it's damaged or broken, but I do need the cables that are leading towards the headphone, and so let's get rid of those. And I like this casing, so I'm going to keep that aside for a future use. And let's have a look at this. So we notice there's a set of wires here, and so before we begin, so just take a photo of this and let's desolder them out. So we have a microphone positive, microphone negative, a left and right speaker, and a ground. So there's two grounds on here, and let's just desolder that out now and get rid of this. I'll keep the wires, I don't need the circuit board. So let's get rid of that. Have a look at this. Okay, so let's have a look at this connector. Now before I do anything, I need to identify what wires do what. So I've got a green, I've got a red, which is my left and right audio. I've got two grounds. Let's isolate that out. And I have a microphone. So let's twist this to ground wires together, so I know that goes there. And that's enough. I think that's about a meter's length there, so that's ample. So let's grab a second pair of hands so I can mount my 3.5mm head set jack on there. This is readily found at JCar. It wasn't too expensive, but you can find it on AliExpress as well, so I'll leave links in the description below so you can find them. It's a screw-on type, slim type, so let's take the cap off and place this in the jig on my spare hands here, and just so I can hold it in place when I'm soldering this on. So let's get that ready. Zoom you guys in so you can have a better view. Hopefully I'm not in your way too much. This headphone's just been sitting around for a while, so I thought I'll just make something out of it rather than sending it to the landfill. So let's have a look at this. Bring our multimeter in. So what I'm going to do is I need to identify what section of this does what. So don't worry about that, because I'll leave a link to the description below on how to identify what's what. So let's have a look. So if we can get a continuous beep, we know that points to that and that joins up to that, so that's okay. So I'm happy with that at the moment, and let's have a look. Okay, yep, alright, so we have a ground and we have a mic, we have a left and right, and we'll grab our wires now, let's twist it together. So let me place the cap on this, because I've done it previously and I've forgotten the cap out, so I have to redo it. So before I begin, let me insert this through. So it's quite a neat little connector here, so and it's quite sturdy as well, so it's not like one of those flimsy ones that I've used previously. So let's use let's twist this up, let's identify that, so we know that goes there, and I've identified what wires. So I'm just going to have a look at this, and how is this connector going to plug onto here. Okay, so let's just have a look again. Let's recheck our connections and lead into the direction that we need to. So let's identify which point goes where. Alright, cool. I'm happy with that. Let's have a look now. And so we know which point goes where, and what I'm going to start to do now is attach my cable. But before I need to do this, I need to tin these points of attachments on the 3.5mm headset jack. And so apply a little bit of flux on here, and let's bring the soldering iron in, and let's put a little bit of solder on these points so it can take two, so it doesn't it's not in the way while I'm doing, so I can really apply it and then just put a tap on and it's fine. Let's put a little bit here, not too much that it's in the way or obstructing or anything like that. So yep, I'm happy with that. Now the way I do this is when I do these, what I do is I start from the bottom and I work my way up, so I go from left to right, but when I'm taking my measurements I go from the top and then I work my way back. So I have my ground, so we've identified that the top pin there is ground, and what I'm going to do is I'll put both my grounds together, and it's just a common ground, it doesn't really matter which goes where. So I'm going to share these two together, and I begin by cutting the edges off and aligning what goes of what length, and this is just an approximate for the first one, and at the end what I'll do is I'll okay, so we've got that. Let's get rid of this bit here. And I've been asked previously, how do I get this to stick onto these cables? So my trick is to use a little bit of flux on the tips of this, so you're tinning this end as well. So we've tinned the headset as well, so we need to tin this side. So a little bit of flux on it, if I can get this to hold it for me, and put the solder on the tip and apply it onto the lead, and that's the easiest way, and you don't hold it there for too long. Let's have a look. Yep, that's fine. Let's just clean that up a little bit, and yep, that's okay. So that's just a reapproximate. I'll readjust it later on because I just need to see what the sizes are, and if I hold it there I know, yep, so I'll need to cut it definitely. So we can do that later. That's the last one that goes on, and I can reapproximate it later. That's fine. So I will take my measurements now, and so now so the first one is ground. This one is my left speaker, so my left side of my headphone, or you can have it the other way, the right side, doesn't really matter, but you can have a look at the diagram which side goes what your preferences is, and just take approximate measurements. I'm holding with my left hand where I'm going to clamp it down with, and that's about right, so just a rough estimate there, that's fine. And it's got a covering on it, so I'm going to get rid of the covering and expose the cloth like cable underneath, and a bit of flux again. And I find with flux, once you apply that on there, it helps to flow the solder a lot better than if you didn't have it. So you have a look here, just a little bit of solder, and yep, I'm happy with that. And so that's enough for it to tack on, and ample enough for it to be sturdy enough to hold on, and that's fine there. So we know we've got 3 wires left, and we know that our ground is on the top, and then we've got our left or right audio, and then we'll work our way down. So yep, I'm happy with that, and reapproximate my right speaker, which is at the bottom. So that goes there. Okay, and if I hold it there, then yep, I'm happy with that. Let's just cut it here and have a look. So let's get rid of that, and once again remeasure, might just be too long, and yep, just cut off the edge of it and twist that up. That should be okay. I'll just take up a little bit more, and let's have a look. Okay, that's fine. Right, so let's attach it on the plate up here, put a bit of flux on it as well, and then let's bring in the solder and the soldering iron. You don't need too much of it, just a little bit, just so it covers the tip of it, and enough for you to have it soldered on. So I'm happy with that. Let's solder this on and just hold it there a little bit, and yep, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Okay, so we've got all of that done, and the last bit what we have is let's tidy this up a little bit. Yep, cool. And yep, and the last one is obviously just microphone. And what I do with this, I don't cut it too short, but I want it just enough so I can overlap. And the way I do this is I ensure that this is at the bottom, and I take about that much is enough, because what I do is I'll solder this at the bottom and then I'll overlap with where the covering is of the total cover of the cables. And let's peel that back, have a look, and yep, it's put a little bit of flux on here and a little bit of solder, and that should be enough for that. And once you're doing this, ensure that before you begin this process, ensure that your soldering iron is properly heated, and that I'm just using a 60-watt soldering iron Hakko 936, which is absolutely fine for this. Okay, so now we begin, and we notice that if we clamp it there, it's still a little bit too long. Okay, so we'll have a look at this. I can readjust it, and I'll apply a little bit of flux to this, and just hold it there. And I'm gonna overshoot with the soldering here, because I want to have a look if I need to cut it, so I just don't have to resolder it. That's fine, let's cut it off while it's still joined together. Happy with that, that's fine. And let's begin with soldering this. So I've taken my measurement, that's fine. Might have to readjust this some more, but that's fine. So the way I do this is I'll solder this one on first, and remember how I said I'll overlap it from the bottom. So a little bit of flux on here, a little bit of flux on the connection side as well, just for the solder to flow a lot better. And grab my solder and just tack it down a little bit so it holds on. Yep, that should do it. Yep, and then I fold over it, you notice that? And then let's get the speaker connections on. And while I do this, is with the soldering iron, what I'm doing is I'm just going to tack it, right, and then just hold it there for a tad second so it joins up properly. So the speaker connection is a little bit challenging here, so what we'll do, yep, and just tack it. All right, that's ample enough for it to hold on. So that's on there, and let's grab our ground, and again it's a little bit of overshoot, so I'm going to grab my soldering iron and solder that on, cut off a little bit more, and place this on. And again with this one here, so tack it and just hold it there for a little bit longer, 1 second more, and yep, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to have a look underneath it, see if it's not joined up with any other connections there. And obviously these wires you can twist it and join it together, and they won't join up until you get solder onto it, until you make a clear connection. So I'm just going to have a look under here. I feel this is laying on top of, I just want to clear that out. So nope, that's fine. So I'm just going to lift this bottom bit up, trying to get the, yep, there we go. And let's lift up the bottom bit here. Okay, yep, and I'm just having a look underneath it if it's touching anything. There is a plastic bit there that separates it. Yep, I'm happy with that. And what happens now is tidy up my cables. That's all joined up there, and grab my needle nose pliers and clamp this bit down, and by squeezing those two together ensures that even if it's pulled, it won't come out from that joint. And yep, that's fine there. Okay, let's do that, and yep, I'm pretty happy with that. And let's bring in the connector. Sorry, let's clean this up first. So let's bring in the IPA, and let's give this a wipe down with a Q-tip and IPA on that. So let's wipe that down. Yep, let's have a look, inspect. Okay, I'm happy with that. And now let's plug it up into my controller and have a look if it's functioning. Okay. So I've just got it connected up to the PlayStation, and I just want to put the headset next to the microphone of the recording device and go left and go right, and let's have a listen. Okay, I'm happy with that, so let's get this connector back on, screw this down, and a little bit of pushing the cables back in. Let's have a look. So we know this is working fine now, and I just want to squeeze this tab back in a little bit more, just so I can be sure it's not going to be in the way, anything like that. Okay, I'm happy with that, and let's tighten that up, and there you go. So there we go, we've converted it from a PS3 to PS4. Hopefully this video has helped somebody out there, and thank you for watching.